with what we're doing. And so we may have a guest come in tonight. So praise God, that should be interesting. I won't say much more about it, about her, and but it's awesome. Awesome people, things that God is doing in this hour. Okay, well, welcome and thanks for being here tonight. This is July the 17th, 2023, Rising Mystics Masterclass, and we're going to get started. The subject tonight is the MerKaBahs. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But I want to let you know that this is a very powerful date. Today is a very powerful date, and I'm not going to get into the astrology of it. I really want to. I'm kind of late in putting out some astrology, but today there is a nodal shift, So the North Node is moving from Taurus to Aries, and the South Node is moving from Scorpio to Libra. And so it is a very major event that is happening in place in the heavens. And I will be talking about it soon because it affects your life over the next 18 months with some things that's going to be happening, things that we're seeing. And I'm going to be putting out something pretty soon here, some predictions and some other things for the rest of the year on into next year that I've been looking at in the heavens and stuff. And it's very exciting. I just haven't had a chance to just sit down and just get my thoughts together and get in front of the camera and to just do it. But who knows, I might stay up all night and end up doing it tonight. But gonna get it out there because there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of wonderful things happening, a lot of changes that's taking place. This is a new moon, the new moon that is in Cancer, a new moon in Cancer. So all of you Cancerian people out there, you know what to do. You're on your cycle, you're on your lunar cycle, and it's very powerful with this and with the movements of the heavens and stuff. And I'm not going to go further because I'm tempted to really just talk about that. But tonight I want to deal with the MerKaBahs, and I want to just talk about it. I don't plan to be on here long. And don't y'all laugh at me because, I really don't plan to be on here long. And I'm going to stick to my notes and stuff. And I'm going to just get through with it. Now, last week, we talked about UFOs and aliens in the Bible. And many of you were here last week and got a lot of feedback from that, and people watching it on the YouTube and other things also. And so several people were asking, could we go further into that? So I said, okay, yeah, sure. I really felt that and feel like that's what Spirit is doing. And we dealt with the various things. And just a reminder, just in case those of you that did not see last week's show and stuff, I'm going to just touch on just a very few things and just highlight some things so that you can understand and understand where we're coming from, and just to realize just the awesome time that we are in. And so, I got a couple of questions here that people were asking me, and I'm going to deal with those questions here. I kind of wrote it down. And one of the questions was, are UFOs and spaceships real? Real. I mean, sometimes even people, after they see a video or hear us talk about things, and I'm teaching even from the Bible, because we have been so programmed, especially in the Western Christianity mindset, not to believe a lot of things, especially if we don't know anything about it. We want to relegate it to the realm of the demonic, right? And so somebody was asking me, I'm going, well, yes, 100 times yes. UFOs and spaceships are real. Okay, galactic civilizations have been traveling throughout the universe for millions of years. Galactic civilizations have been traveling throughout the universe for millions of years. What do you mean by that? That, we're here on the arm of the Milky Way galaxy in a very, very, very tiny part of space, of the universe. I mean, there is the whole arm of the Milky Way. There is all of the other galaxies out there, over maybe 300,000 galaxies out there with a lot of planets and a lot of suns. And so there are a lot of people, a lot of beings out there in the universe. This whole space of energy, which everything is just energy, is filled up. And it is filled up with beings that come in different shapes, sizes, forms, colors, and look all different types of ways. Many people out there, or many beings out there, have technology that's probably well over 1 million years ahead of us. Did you hear that? Okay. There's technology out there that is well over 1 million years of what we see on the planet here. And we are just tripping over some of the things that we see because we are maybe, what did Michio Kaku say? I think we're barely getting into maybe a level 1 type of, of civilization out there. And so we're very low on that scale of civilizations that are out there. So yes, the answer is yes, that UFOs are real, spaceships are real. There are civilizations that are moving throughout the universe as we speak, planet-sized spaceships, all kinds of things, that are whole civilizations that are moving because of things that may have happened on their planet. Some people may have destroyed it, or maybe some other neighboring galactic federation of people may have done some things to it where they had to literally move to another place. Those things are really real. Another question that was asked to me was, have they come to Earth before? And again, the answer is yes, yes, yes to that. And I'm going to just kind of like give you some scripture on this, because we're talking about this because it's going to be in the news a whole lot more. And you as mystics, you as people of the Most High God, some of you call yourselves Christians, you need to know. You need to know what is in your word that you believe, and you need to be able to explain it. You need to be able to understand it and stuff. So yes, they have been coming to this planet for, who knows, hundreds of thousands of years. Hundreds of thousands of years. They found artifacts in South Africa. They found mines that were dug, like gold mines, diamond mines, that were dug like over 200,000 years ago. Who was doing the mining during that time? There are communities that you can you can see an aerial view of southern of Africa, that there were communities that was there and is etched into the sand, into the ground, and they dated back over a couple of 100,000 years ago. But we're not going to go way back there. We're just going to go from Genesis, say Genesis chapter 3. And I want you guys to understand this. And I have said it many times, but I have to say it over and over because we always get new people coming into the class here. Now, the planet Earth is not just 6,000 years old. It's not just 7,000 years old or 10,000 years old. No, it's not. The math of these Christian creationists is way off. And their understanding of astronomy, archaeology, and all of that is way off. Now, from Genesis chapter 3 on, then you can say it's between 6,000 to 7,000 years old. That's Genesis chapter 3 on. From that biblical chronology, yes, it's been that. But prior to Genesis 3, there's a whole lot of civilizations that were on this planet, passing through the planet, left the planet, came back to the planet, went inner Earth. So we have the extraterrestrials, we have the interterrestrials, and we have the terrestrial people that are here on the planet. Do you understand this? So we have 3. And so I'm saying that because, see, when you read starting the Bible, the book of Genesis, the beginning of things, after Genesis 3, when the introduction to the reptilian takes place with the first family and all of that, you get to chapter 5 and you find something really interesting happens, because it tells you when other visitations came, when another visitation came. And this is important for you to understand your history. And it's important for you to be able to understand the chronology of your history, and not the crap that they teach in school or they tell you on the news or in church and stuff like that, which is, just been made up, revised and refried and all of that other kinds of stuff that don't even make any kind of sense. And it doesn't make any chronological sense, doesn't make any archaeological sense either, or astronomical sense. All right. But when you read this and learn how to read this document here, what is called the Bible, it gives a whole lot of information, not only to Bible, but there are other documents also. But since we're here talking about the Bible here, we're going to deal with this here. Now, Genesis chapter 5 and verse 15, it tells you when the visitors came. Okay, it tells you, and Mahalalel lived 65 years, and he begot Yared. Yared. Okay, you may pronounce it Jared, but there's no J's. Yared. He begot Yared. And Mahalalel lived after he begot Yared 830 years and begot sons and daughters. Okay, now, why did I emphasize Yared? Because his name is prophetic of what was happening on the planet at that time. The name Yared means they descended. They descended, to descend. And so about 200 ships descended upon Mount Hermon. Okay, now we've talked about that before. I just wanted to give you a scripture reference so that you can see when it happened. Now, if you look at the chronology leading all the way up to the time of the flood, you find that from Genesis 5:15 all the way to like about Genesis chapter 7, it's been over 1,000 years. And so what I'm telling you is that these that descended, what the scripture calls in Genesis 6:1, very important. I say it over and over again because you need to get it within your spirit, within your mind, because of the things that's going to be taking place. There's a lot of stuff already taking place you don't even know about. And it came to pass that when the men began to multiply upon the face of the earth, their daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God, or the sons of the heavens, saw the daughters of men, the daughters of Adam, and that they were fair, and they took wives whom they chose. Okay, so for about 1,000 years, these watchers that descended upon Mount Hermon, that was sent by the Most High, to watch over the evolution of Adam, of mankind on the planet, they overstepped cosmic law. They trespassed, they transgressed cosmic law, and they began to intermingle with the women. I'm saying that because the scripture is very clear. It shows you when they descended. When they descended, okay? And so we're talking about this creation here, not prior creations, because there have been many, many other creations and civilizations before the Adam of Genesis 2:7, where it says, and the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostril the breath of life, and he became a living soul. Now, prior to that, there were many, many other civilizations. Okay, how do you know that? Okay, question to you. Where did Cain get his wife? All right. And, I mean, who was going to kill Cain if they were the only people that was on the planet? So there were other civilizations. There were various types of catastrophic things that happened on the planet. And the civilizations that existed before, some of those escaped and they went to other parts of the solar system, the galaxy, the moon, Mars, inner Earth, in other places, right? And so so there was the layover from the previous civilizations that was here. Okay, you got that, all right? Just wanted to throw that out there. We're going to talk about the MerKaBahs, but I just wanted to share that with you so that you could understand when this happened. Okay, Genesis 5:15, Yared. Okay, it means they descended. And so from that time to Genesis 7, they were working on the earth. They weren't there just monitoring humans. Now, who were these? These were extraterrestrials, ETs, aliens. You can call them angels, as your Bible calls them. The same thing. They were not from here, so that means that they're an alien, right? They're from somewhere else, right? And the scripture clearly tells you that they descended from the heavens. They came from the stars, all right? They came from somewhere. We won't get into where that place was in this message here, because I want to go on here. Now, Yared was the father of Enoch. Enoch, he's the one that was not. The one that walked with God, so close, and he was of perfect genetics and all of this stuff. He was not mixed with the hybrids of the alien/angels and all of these things. He walked with God and was not. Matter of fact, the scripture says God took him, or the Elohim took him. So that is an abduction. You can call it alien abduction, if you will, a willingly alien abduction. Okay. Now we're going to go a little bit further than that, just so that you can understand this here. Now we're answering the questions. How have they come to earth before? Yes. They've come to earth before. So now this group group of beings that came at that time, they began to manipulate with the genetics of the whole planet, not just the women, not just the men, which they did the men and they did the women too. They did the animals, they did all kinds of stuff, right? And this is why the flood came to wash everything away, because human genetics and the genetics of everything that Yahweh had created was compromised. It was manipulated by these that descended and crossed the line. They were called, you can call them the fallen angels, if you will, or the aliens that transgress cosmic laws for a planet that was just developing. Can you hear what I'm saying? We were in the nursery. We were babies. Okay. So you can almost say there was a form of like almost cosmic pedophilia, if you will. Okay, because we were just birthed onto this plane here, into this physical planet here, and here are these beings that had been around for thousands and thousands of years, and they manipulated everything and manipulated the humans and all of that. Okay, now let's go a little bit further. Okay, you might say, well, you know, that sounds a little bit far out. That's a little bit, you know, sci-fi for me, or and all of that kind of stuff. And before we get into the MerKaBah, I want to just show you that, you know, President Reagan, I mentioned him last week, and but you know, out of all the presidents, he's the 42nd president. We talked about 42, remember, about a month or so ago, right? The 42nd president, he did more disclosure than any other president. Okay, I'm going to show you something that he said here. Let me just get this for you. I want you to hear it with your own ears. Okay, this is a speech that he made. 1985, I believe it was.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
That's the President of the United States. And he's there trying to get Russia to stand down Gorbachev, because they're about to blow up. We're about to blow up each other and everything. And so he begins to disclose that, you know, is going to take an outside force to bring us together, okay, as a civilization, as humans on this planet here, and so that we can stop killing each other and fighting each other, and realize that there are forces, there are aliens that are out there that could serve as a threat, that could be a threat. How many of you heard that? Did you guys hear that? Wave your hand at me if you heard that. I need somebody to, amen, to kind of like wave at me here. Okay, I know most of you got your things closed up, and you, I don't know, you may be in some witness protection program or something. I'm just joking with you, okay? And so I understand. Okay, so now, so he says this, that and then he ends it. He says, "Is there not an alien force among us?" So I want to let you know that the nations of this world, the leaders of this world, they know what's going on. Okay. And so he was basically disclosing this at that time. Now, I want to just show you one other thing, because we're going to talk about MerKaBahs here, and just wanted to show you that. And I want to let you know that I believe it was Reagan that initiated the Strategic Defense Initiative, Star Wars. Anybody that live in the U.S., I know we're from all over, remember that Star Wars, you know, where they were putting missiles out in space, and supposedly, you know, in case Russia launches something, you know, we can like hit it and knock it off course, or Russia or has one in case we launch something. No, it wasn't about that. It was about what they know is coming. It's about what they know is coming. All right. And so that whole Star Wars thing, a strategic defense initiative, that's what it was about. And he disclosed that there. I'm saying that for a reason here, because I want to show you this here, something else that he said. And we are talking about MerKaBahs tonight. Yes, we are. But we want to just get this out of the way here, tagging on from last week, so that you can get this, okay? And you can understand this, okay? You won't think that I'm just making this stuff up. Okay, now look at this. This is in the presidential diary. It is in the presidential library after President Reagan left office and stuff. His diaries were put in the library. And right here, he says here that he had, I don't want to read the whole thing, but he says he had lunch with 5 top space scientists. It was fascinating. Space truly is the last frontier. And some of the developments there in astronomy, etc., are like science fiction, except they are real. Somebody need to shout, they're real. Okay, I learned that our shuttle capacity in which we could orbit is 300 people. So we have a spaceship that can hold 300 people. The shuttle that they show you on TV that goes up to ISIS space station, or that goes, wherever it goes, orbits around, out there, it only seats about 8 people. But he said back in the 80s that this was, 40 years ago? That we have a spaceship way back then that can seat 300 people. Oh, I just want you to think. I want you to just think. So if we've had that technology all of this time and you haven't seen it, they just got it sitting somewhere in a hangar? No, they're using it. And some of the ships that you see flying in our atmosphere, those are UAVs, unidentified area vehicles. UAVs, okay, because they were created, back engineered by us, by humans, okay? All right, now I just wanted to throw that out there to you so you can see. Now, okay, let's get ready to get into the MerKaBahs, because I want to talk about that, but I wanted to start that where I ended last week to give you just more of a foundation and understanding of where we're going with this and what we're talking about here. So we answer the questions. Are UFOs and spaceships real? Yes. Okay, they're in the Bible. They're for the Bible, and they will be long forever, right? Okay, have they come to Earth? Yes, we found it even in the Bible. Yes, and even the president is saying that, yes, that there is an alien force among us now. I told you last week that the president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, he said that when a person becomes president in Russia, there are 2 things he's given in that briefcase: all the nuclear codes and a list of where all the aliens are living in the country of Russia. Not aliens like from Libya or the US, but aliens from other places, right? Okay, so they know. It's just like the same thing with this country here. We know where they are, many of them at least, right? Okay, so now we're gonna get into this. There are 4 types of MerKaBahs. 4 types of MerKaBahs. Now, last week, I think I only touched on maybe 2, but there are 4 types of MerKaBahs, okay? And I think you all know here, just in case you're new here or just getting on, MerKaBah, that is the Hebrew word that is used for chariot. When you find the word chariot in the Bible, in most cases, it is MerKaBah. That's MerKabah, MerKaBah. Some people pronounce it MerKaBah, all right? So there are 4 types that are there. Now, MerKaBah comes from the consonants Resh, Kuf, Beth, RKB, which means to ride or to drive. It is a vehicle. It is a vehicle, okay? Now, first of all, you have to understand that when the people, 40 people that wrote books that made up this books called the Bible. There are many, many other books also, but about 40 of the authors got into this one here. When they were writing, that they were writing and explaining things based on their frame of reference, based on what they were used to seeing and that they were describing. So when they saw a vehicle that could move very fast, the only word they had for it was MerKaBah. Or which means like a chariot because it's moving so fast, right? And then they had another word to describe it when it looked really strange. as you found in Zechariah chapter 5, I believe verse 5, and it was called an ephah, okay? And then you also find in Second Kings, it was called Revkav, and it looks like a millstone. It's a disc, okay, with lines on it. Okay, so we found that. So we find this in the ancient writings here, okay, just to help you to understand. And so we find that the 4 types of MerKaBahs, MerKaBahs, one of them, it means like to ride, it means to drive, and it means the throne of God. The throne of God. I want to emphasize that in your mind here, because I'm going to tell you something that I believe that you may have not ever heard before. Not just for the sake of saying something new, but because it's exciting. And this book here, when you really start to read it and allow it to read you and meditate within it, you're going to find out all kinds of things that you did not know about. Now, first of all, a chariot or MerKaBah, it is a horse-driven wagon. A horse-driven wagon. So we find that when you're reading, especially the Old Testament, we're talking about Torah Tanakh. Okay, when you find the word chariot there from the Hebrew or the Aramaic, is most of the time talking about a horse-driven wagon. Okay, a horse-driven wagon. But there is also the word that was translated. See, that's how it is with translation. For example, we have people here from various countries, like, Africa, Philippines, and other places and stuff, and you have a word in your language that means something to you. But when it is translated, we maybe lose some of the meaning in the translation, okay? And so now there was the other word, Revkav, which means it looks like a millstone. It is a vehicle, but it looks like a millstone. So let me just pull that up for you again, like I did last week, to maybe help you to see this and give you an idea of what we're talking about. For those of you that may be just coming on, look at that. Look at that. So that means it's a disc shape. Now, this is used, that word is used when in 2 Kings, I believe chapter 2, when the prophet Elijah is being taken away in a chariot of fire in a whirlwind. In other words, a portal opens. And out of the portal comes a Revkav, and which means it looks like is a vehicle that looks like a millstone. And this is the millstone. Millstone looks like that, okay? It is circular, it looks like a disc, and it has grooves in it and other things like that. So that's what he saw, okay? So now you find it also in 2 Kings chapter 6, when, as I said last week, the prophet Elisha prayed and asked God to open the eyes of his servant so that he could see that there was more with them than there were against him. Okay. And he opened his eyes and they uncloaked before him, and all around the mountainside were these chariots of fire. That was the phrase that was used to identify a vehicle very powerful that moves very fast, but he used the word there, Revkav, which means that they were circular. Somebody shout spaceships, okay? So all of these small spaceships that was there, and that was there to assist the prophet. And I want to tell you that you have help from above. You have so much help that the scripture says that he sent his angels to minister to those that are heirs of salvation. And if you understand that when the scripture uses the word angel, which means messenger, the modern day translation for that is extraterrestrial or alien, okay? And so there are aliens, there are guides, there are messengers that are sent to you and I that is not from this world, not of this world, and they are waiting to be called upon. Maybe one of these times I'll do a show where I'll tell you some experience. I've said it in the past, some of them, of my experiences and stuff, and even having experience as summoning. very powerful. And so maybe we can do some practice or something. But okay, so now we understand here, there's the chariot that is the horse-driven wagon, but then we find the MerKaBah, which is the spaceship, which is disc-shaped, that is in the Bible. It looks like a millstone. And then we find, as we said last week, that I believe it was Zechariah, that he saw the angel ask him, "What do you see?" And he said an ephah. Let me just quickly just put that in case you were not here, and so that you can be on the same page that we are on here, okay? And getting this, because this is important for you to get. This is important, I feel, for you to get. I've taught this for years and years. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, now, okay, oops. That's it here. Look at it there, because I don't want to move that and mess it up. There it is. It looks just like what we see at spaceship, right? Okay. So there we go. That's in your Bible. Okay, now we're getting ready to move. But now I've just showed you two types of MerKaBahs, two types of chariots. One that is horse-driven, two that is a spaceship that may look like a millstone that is circular, or it could be elongated, as Zechariah chapter 5:1 said he saw the flying scroll, or or like the one that came through our solar system, I think a few years ago. What was it called? Maya, I think that's the name of it, or something like that. And so, different shapes. But there's another kind that you find in Ezekiel. Now, I'm not going to go through all this because I'll get way off if I go there. There is a MerKaBah that is so strange. And this one is called the throne of God. The throne of God. Because this specific MerKaBah, it is machinery and it is animal and it is humanoid all combined. Did you hear what I said? Anybody ever saw the movie Transformers? Somebody raise your hand if you've seen the movie Transformers, okay? More that meets the eye. My boys took me to see Transformers Rise of the Beasts recently, okay? Oh, it's a great movie. You need to see that, okay? Because they are showing you things. Now, this is going to be way out, and this is one of the things I'm going to say that I'm sure that you have not heard before. In what you call heaven, there are beings that are part machine, part animal, and part humanoid. Just think about that, okay? Just like what you see on the Transformers, just like that's where the whole idea came from. You might say, show me. Okay, I'm going to show you. I'm going to just read some of this because this is so exciting. I'm going to probably do another in the future teaching just specifically on this because it is so in depth. If you go to the book of Ezekiel and you go to chapter 1 of Ezekiel here, I just want to show you this. This is the third one that I'm talking about, Ezekiel chapter 1. And I'm going to just kind of skip through here and read this here. And I'm going to read kind of fast. So you're going to have to like kind of keep up, okay? Because we're talking about this this third type of MerKaBah or chariot, which is called the throne of God. And this one is zoomorphic. That means it is made of some type of animal type creatures, okay? As well as humans, as well as machinery. Technology, my God. So where do you think the idea came from of cyborgs, cloning, all this other stuff, all of this technology? Okay. It didn't originate here, but it came from somewhere else. However, it's been twisted and perverted here, but it came from somewhere else. And it came from the being that you call God. Because once you realize that in this place that you call heaven or the heavens of heaven, it is not exactly the way that you have been taught to believe it is. It is not as from your perspective, it won't be as beautiful, the creatures and the things there, as the way that you would think of beauty, because you have this Western concept of what is beautiful. Even the concept of Yeshua himself, he is portrayed very European, blue eyes, blonde hair, very masculine, built in what we have translated to mean handsome or beautiful. You see all of the angels. They look the same way, basically. What we would think in the Western concept, because we have been conditioned to believe what is beautiful and what is not, that's what we think is beautiful. But the scripture clearly tells you in Isaiah 53 that when you see him, when he was to come, there was no beauty to be desired of him. So can I tell you that he was ugly? Yes, I just said that Yeshua, Jesus, was ugly. He wasn't a drop-dead gorgeous man. He wasn't a type of man that you would look and say, whoa, whoa. He wasn't a type of man that another guy would say, wow, I wish I had those types of features. No, he wasn't a type of guy that the women would just swoon over and just, oh. No, no, no. The scripture says there was no beauty to be desired of him. Woo! Because, it was you have to understand the way that spirit works and stuff. And so from our modern Western concept of beauty, what we think of as beauty is ugly. And what we think of as ugly is beautiful. Don't you see it every day? You can put on all kinds of makeup and paint. You can do the hair, do the eyes, do the beards and all of this other kinds of stuff. We see all of these people being paraded before us every day, and they're the ugliest people ever inside. Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. And that was one of the purposes for bringing Yeshua there. My point that I'm making, when you get into this, the real heaven of heavens and the throne of God, it ain't gonna be beautiful the way that you think of beauty, but it is beautiful. It is beautiful. It will scare the hell out of you. Just ask these prophets, ask Elijah, Daniel, okay, ask Ezekiel and these others. John on the Isle of Patmos fell down as dead. It just scared him, like just seeing these things. Jacob in Genesis 28, he says, how dreadful is this place? This is the house of God. It's dreadful, it's scary, All right, and so I want just to show you this here, but look at this. Ezekiel chapter 1, it says, now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 50th day of the month, that I was among the captives by the river Kibar. Woo, keep that in mind. That the heavens were open, and I saw visions of God. Woo. The word of the Lord, the word of Yahweh came unto me expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Bozai, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kibar, and the hand of the Lord was upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind, somebody say, portal, came out of the north, and a great cloud and a fire enfolding it, and the brightness was all about it, and out of the midst of it was the color of amber, and out of the midst of the fire. Verse 4, verse 5, and also out of the midst of it came forth the likeness of 4 creatures, beasts, animals, creatures, okay? Now notice this, 4 creatures. And this was their appearance, and they had the likeness of a man. Oh, so now we see creatures, and then we see the likeness of a man. We see, for lack of better words, chimeras. Okay, chimeras. Let me just reflect back a little bit just so that you can understand. You see on the caves of Egypt, the land of Kemet, all of these beings, Birdman, wolf guy, and women and different things like that. You see that all over the world. Matter of fact, your Bible even tells you that in the days of David, that there were the lion men that were part lion and part men, and that they had to destroy. Okay, Bible even tells you that there were the scorpion people. When they went through the wilderness during that 40-year journey, they came upon the arachnids, I think, Arakims, and which means the scorpion people. These were people that had the upper part of their body was like a human, but they had scorpions for the rest of their body and stuff. Where do you think the movie came from, Scorpion King and all this stuff? It's right here in this book that they call the Bible. All of that stuff is there because these hybrids were on the earth. Those that descended, they genetically manipulated the animals and all that stuff. Why did they do that? Because in what you call the heavens, there are also these creatures. Some of them right around the throne. Some of them make up the throne. The difference is that when those 200 that descended after when Yered was born, they had an evil intent, and the purpose was to confuse people and to destroy the image and likeness of God, or the DNA of humans. That was the purpose for it, okay, and everything that was on the planet that was in the image of God. But the idea that they knew of in the heavens of heavens, even around the throne, you look at the zodiac, you see men, you see monsters, you see, all kinds of beasts there, because that is what is there. I just wanted just to show you that as we talk about this throne. So now we see that there are these 4 beasts or 4 creatures that are around in the likeness of a man, and everyone had 4 faces, everyone had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet were like the soles of a calf's foot. Okay, look at that. All right, we're talking about these creatures that he saw, but you're going to find out that these creatures that he saw were the throne of God. That's what the throne of God was made of. All right. And it says sparkle and like the color of burnished brass. So it even changed their color, okay? And they had the hands of a man under their wings on the 4 sides, and on the 4 sides they had 4 faces, okay? Their wings were joined together one to another, and they turned when they went forward, and they went on straight. Verse 10, as for the likeness of their faces, they had the faces, they 4 had the face of a man, the face of a lion, the face of an ox, the face of an eagle. Okay, now you got these 4 creatures, and these 4 creatures got 4 heads, and they got the face of a lion, the face of an ox, the face of an eagle, and the face of a man. Okay, now we understand that, right? We call it the cherubim. We call it the cherubim because we see it from Genesis to Revelations in the Bible. Matter of fact, if you want to look at it astrologically, it shows, because everything is interconnected, you will see the cosmic cross. Those are the 4 fixed signs that are out there in the cosmos that are fixed because God fixed them. The face of the man is Aquarius. The face of the lion is Leo. The face of the eagle is in Scorpio. And the face of the bull is Taurus. They make the cosmic cross out there in the heavens. So there are many, many messages in here that I don't want to get into. So he sees this here, and you'll see later that John describes the same thing, almost very similar to this. Thus were their faces, and their wings stretched upward and toward one each other and joined together their bodies. And they went on straight forward, verse 12, wherever the Spirit was to go. So they had a spirit within them. There was consciousness within these. They turned and they turned not when they went. So they just went like this. Same way you see the UFOs go, the same way that they move. When you've seen them on TV, when you've seen the military show you videos of them, how they just go just like that. All right. It said, thus were the faces, and thus were the wings that stretch out upon high as they were joined to their bodies. Now let me get to this part here, verse 13, and it says here, as for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearances was like burning coals. And he goes on to describe them, and it went forth. And the living creatures ran and returned like the appearance of the flash of lightning. Oh, now we see that these creatures, they're moving very fast. They're moving very fast. But you go to Daniel chapter 7, he describes almost the same thing. And he says, in the middle is a throne. That's the throne of God. This is why what psalm is that? He says, the Lord, God rides upon the cherub. Because these creatures here that he see here, you're going to see here, it says, now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel was upon the earth by the living creatures with the 4 faces. So we heard about the wheel in the middle of a wheel. So in other words, this vehicle looked like a gyroscope. This vehicle looked like a gyroscope. And I'm going to tell you why I'm emphasizing that in just a few minutes. When they went upon the 4 sides, and they went forward. As verse 18, and as for the rims, they were high, and they were dreadful, and they were full of eyes. Okay, so now we see the cherubim, and now we also see the orphanim. We see 2 different classes, high classes of angels that are together somehow, making up this vehicle that Yahweh is riding on. We see the orphanum, the wheels or the eyes, okay? And we see the cherubim, the four faces that are there. And it says, and when the living creatures went, see, they're living creatures, and the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up, okay? So they're moving this gyroscope. Wherever the spirit was to go, they were to go, all right? And let me just find this one other verse. I should have underlined it. I was reading it earlier. And it talked about, it uses the word how they worked, which indicated that it was mechanical, that it was not only just these beings here, but it was like a machine, the way that they worked as they went forward, okay? And let's see, he heard a noise and go on. Let me just read this. I didn't mean to read all of this, but I wanted just to show you this, just to bring out this. Okay, all right. I'm going to stop there. Otherwise, I'll end up talking about this. So I've shown you 3 types of MerKaBah. And Book of Daniel, I'm just going to read just a bit of that just to confirm this here out of the mouth of 2 witnesses. Daniel chapter 7. Okay. Verse 9. I beheld, and all the thrones were placed, and the angels of days did sit, whose garments was white as snow, and hair was like that of pure wool. Okay, had a big afro. All right. His throne was like the fiery flames, and his wheels as burning fire. So he's there sitting in this throne in the midst of the orphanims, actually, and in the midst of the seraphim and the cherubims that make up his throne. And then there is this mechanical, technological part that makes this up, that gives it motion and movement and all of this. And so it's just very, just amazing when you look at this. And the only thing that I could think of that we could relate to is the Transformers that they show you. You see the rise of the beast. You see these things. They're part beast and they're part, technology. All right. Okay. I'm just showing you this stuff. You probably only hear stuff like that here, Rise and Mystic, but it's the truth. Okay. And if you live long enough, or if you get your MerKaBah charged up, you'll be able to see it. Okay. If you live long enough, you will see them in your atmosphere. Or if you get your MerKaBah activated enough, you will be able to see it. All right. Now, so I've showed you 3. I've showed you the chariot, the horse-driven wagon that Scripture speaks of. I've shown you the Revkav, which it looks like a disc. Okay, a millstone. All right, and the Ephah that looks like that, the spaceship. And then now I just showed you this zoomorphic type of ship that is made of creatures and humanoids, as well as machinery, that is carrying the Most High God, because he rides upon the cherub. And upon the cherub he did fly. The Scripture says that. Okay, Psalms. All right. Now, the 4th one. This is what I'm going to really talk about here. Let's see what time it is. 4th one, MerKaBah. Last week we told you that in the Egyptian language, MerKaBah is MerKaBah, okay, without the H. Mer means light, Ka, spirit, and Ba, body, light, spirit, body. So this was not just something that the Hebrews understood or knew about, or the Jewish religion. But this existed before there was a Jewish religion, and the people understood it, and they knew how to activate it. The mystics did. Matter of fact, those that were masters, they activated the MerKaBah and they ascended, okay? And they travel, because this is your light vehicle. This is your light vehicle. Now, your light vehicle is not somewhere out there. Your house from heaven, as Paul calls it, is not coming from out there, but it's from the heavens, but it's already within you. That's why he says you have a treasure that is hidden in this earthen vessel. But we have to be willing to sell out everything and buy this field to dig in it to get it out. Just as the parable that Yeshua gave. You have to be willing to count it all loss and dung, the things of this world. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't enjoy things like that, but the most important thing in your life must become your spirituality. It can't be something that you just do legalistically or ritualistically, but it must become spiritually, like ritual. You put an SP I on it, and then it becomes spiritual. So your ritual must become a spiritual. Do you get it? All right. Because if it is a ritual, it will not bring life. You will soon become bored. You will soon get tired. You will soon, just maybe get discouraged. But when your ritual becomes a spiritual, you're energized. Because his mercies are new every morning, because you're partaking of the daily bread or the daily manna that is fresh, it's new, and it's nutritious for the inner man. So the MerKaBah, or the light spirit body, is what we're going to talk about now. So you have that within you. You have that. Everyone has that within them. And I'm going to go back to these other three here and tie it up here. But I want to deal with the metaphysical MerKaBah. Okay, so I showed you the literal horse-driven chariot or MerKaBah. I showed you the Revka, the spaceship, high technology, okay, chariot, and I showed you God's throne, which is zoomorphic, that has these creatures that drives it, and is also mechanical. All right, but I want to show you now this interdimensional metaphysical vehicle that's within you. It is interdimensional. It is metaphysical. Metaphysical means it goes beyond the physical and is within you. All right. And so in order for you to access your MerKaBah, you have to change your frequency, because this is a frequency vehicle. It is a frequency vehicle. It is a frequency that's what it's based on, frequency. And so as we change our frequency, come up to a higher frequency, you start to have access to your MerKaBah. Now, many times we can access the MerKaBah without even realizing, or unconsciously, not even knowing there is a such thing as a chariot of God or MerKaBah, all right? But just because you are moving with spirit, walking in spirit, intuitive, you can tap into that and begin to function with it, not even knowing it. Many times we do it. I've done it. Many of you have done it already before you even heard this, right? So you have to change your frequency. How do I change my frequency? Many ways. Changing by the way you think, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, because that is so powerful. Changing the things that you put within your body. If you are constantly putting within your body low vibrational food, dead stuff, it is lowering your frequency. It is keeping it low. Matter of fact, diseases can only exist in lower frequencies. But if you keep your frequency raised up by putting the proper things within your body and being in the right state of mind, you are preparing yourself to access your light vehicle. Walking in love, that raises your frequency. That is a powerful one. Walking in love, really, really loving people, okay? And moving from the selfishness, the greed, and all of the other things that is of the lower vibrational things, okay? Now, this MerKaBah, this is what it looks like. And I'm gonna just kind of like show you this here. I showed you last week, and just in case some of you are new here, you can see this here, and I'm going to just touch on this just a bit. Whoops. All right, I can't do that. Oops, I did something else, I think. All right. So basically, this is what it looks like. You see that, okay? That's a tetrahedron. Tetrahedron. Now, I chose this image of someone standing up because, you know, many of us here in America, oops, don't let me do that. All right. So many times it's hard for us to get into the lotus position. But whether you are standing, the point is, or whether you are in a lotus position, once you come into this space and into this experience, you can begin to access the tetrahedron, which is your MerKaBah, which is the star, your light vehicle that's within you. And we're going to talk about that. Changing your frequency. Now, this was also called like the Star of David, right? But this existed before David. After David, or during the time of David, they called it the Shield of David, okay? And it began to become more popular. But you have these two triangles that's here. This is very important as you are learning to activate the MerKaBah, because you have these interlaced triangles here. That's one is going down and one is going up. One way of looking at it, this is the divine masculine, if you will, that is coming into the feminine and raising up the feminine. So it is an interlace of the masculine and feminine within you. None of that other crazy stuff, right, out there, but the divine masculine and feminine in you, embracing all of that is within you, bringing it to the point, using Christian terminology, Adam and Eve, as they were in the Garden of Eden, where they both were given dominion, okay? One was not above the other. Okay, this is that within you, bringing the Adam and bringing the Eve. Say it another way, bringing your consciousness and your soul into one space, okay? So now we have this. This is also symbolic of, you can say, like the Shekinah. This is like, which is like the feminine energy that is coming into the earth realm and raising it up. Okay, so we have all of those different analogies, and we notice here that it's three-sided, which represents, you know, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Okay, all right. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit is the mother, okay, the feminine, the Shekinah, right? That is descending into the earth, coming into the earth, or coming into your earth, so that you can reach up spirit, soul, and body. Okay, so you have the three here, okay, there. That is going up. And so you can only come into that space once there is the descent of spirit within you to awaken you and to bring you into that space there. Okay, and so this is how the body or the vehicle is starting to become activated, because you're coming into this awareness now. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this here. Now, you have to realize, let me just move out of here, that you are energy. You are energy. You are energy. Matter of fact, even science say that you're 99.999% energy. There's only less than 1% of you that is matter. You are energy. What's another word for energy? Spirit. You are spirit. Matter of fact, everything around you, spirit is all around you. Every creature, being, angel, whatever, that's all around you, that's filling up this space that you think is empty, is energy, is spirit. This is why they can just materialize or manifest in your reality. Once the frequency is raised up, you can see beyond the three-dimensional world. Okay, because our eyes have been lowered into a frequency where we only see and pick up the light spectrums from the 3D world. However, when you tap into spirit, become filled with spirit, as Paul said, he says that the eye of your understanding become enlightened or open, okay? And as Yeshua said, that if your eye, not eyes, but the eye, your third eye becomes healthy or single, your whole body will become filled with light. In other words, you will become that light vehicle. You will become the MerKaBah, where you don't necessarily need a spaceship, although I would like one, to just fly around in and stuff, you know? But you become the MerKaBah. You become the chariot of fire. You become that, because you're equipped with everything that you need for that. But you have to realize that you're energy. Now, and because you're energy, you have this electromagnetic field that emanates from you. It is called the auric field. We've talked about that many times. You have the auric field that is emanating from you. Now, this auric field can emanate up to, well, there's really no limit. Some science say up to 40 feet or so. I believe it can go further, because I believe that as a person gets so filled with spirit or becomes so aware of the Christ within them, they can expand that auric field far, far away. For example, you can talk to someone on the phone in Hong Kong, and because your auric field is expanded and stuff, you can release something from you into them on the phone. You can be in your place of prayer or meditation, and because you are activating the MerKaBah within you, and you can sense something over in Nigeria, just like that, okay? Because it's all about energy. And to activate your MerKaBah, your spaceship that God has given you, you have to realize that, and that your auric field, it carries digital information. Your auric field carries information, okay? It's downloaded from your consciousness. Whatever is going on within your mind, within your consciousness, is downloaded into your auric field. And because you are a spirit or energetic being, when you're around other people, they can pick up on what is in your auric field. You can be smiling on the outside, but if in your consciousness, in your mind, you're depressed, others can pick up on that depression, okay? If you are angry, others can pick up on that. This is why you walked into a room, you've come to people, and you can just say, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? You know something is wrong. Because you are reading, you are sensing what's within their auric field, right? Okay, because it is filled with digital information, and that information comes from what's within their consciousness. If they are filled with joy and peace and love and stuff, you walk into a room with somebody like that, and wow, you just start to just rejoice and celebrate also, because you know that atmosphere has already been created from your auric field, because it's already charged. Okay. Now, your auric field, what did I wrote down here? Let me just read something so I can stay on here. Okay. People that are under duress, under a whole lot of pressure, under a whole lot of stress and stuff, cortisol leaks into your auric field. Cortisol, what is that? That's a hormone like for when you're under stress, comes from your adrenal glands, okay? It leaks into your auric field. Matter of fact, it leaks into your skin, okay? Comes out of there. This is why if you hug somebody, shake hands with somebody, and they're going through some really, really hard challenges and under a whole lot of distress, you can feel that because it gets onto you. You can feel it empathically, because you're an impact. You can feel things, okay? So you can take that into your auric field. And you can also receive that through your skin, which is the largest organ of the body, because the cortisol is leaking out. And when you make that contact, there is a transfer. This is why people that are spiritual and that do a lot of spiritual work and dealing with all kinds of people and stuff, I learned this a long, long time ago, you have to cleanse yourself. You know, many times some people use smudging to cleanse themselves. Some people use salt, oil, water, all of these things, you know, incense, you know, to cleanse after you have been in maybe a toxic environment or someone that is leaking negative data. And we've all leaked before. We've all leaked before, you know. And so this is why Yeshua says, well, the scripture says, you know, you then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. Okay. And so we get to bear the infirmities or the weaknesses and those negative low vibrational things of others that don't know how to handle it. We should know how to take this within our auric field and transmute it and give them something back, charge them up. When they leave your presence, something should have happened. A transformation should have taken place, because your presence, you're so charged up and your auric field is so filled with all of this light and high vibrational frequencies till it transmute all of the negative stuff in their auric field. Are you understanding? I'm talking about the MerKaBah. I'm talking about your body and your vehicle here. I'm talking about how to activate and how to keep it clean so that you can be activated. All right. So chemicals, we take on chemicals for others. All right. Now, let me go a little bit further. Now, if you're really working on your MerKaBah and activating it, I'm going to show you some things that, as I said earlier, that can slow the process down. What you put within your body, how you think, okay? Drugs, alcohol cause tears, rips in your auric field, and you start to leak, okay? Negative thinking, okay? Hate, anger. You can get charged up, coming to rise and misses. You can get messages and prophecies and all kinds of things. And you can be just floating, just about to take off in your MerKaBah, into another dimension. And then after the meeting is over, okay, there you are, back to where you were. Because you didn't deal with some of the stuff that's leaking out. You didn't plug it up. Okay, so that you can maintain that frequency. We can pour into you, we can impart, we can activate, charge you up, okay? But it is up to you to stay charged up and to plug those things up so that you won't be leaking out wonderful energy that you need, okay? Now, the MerKaBah is activated at the root chakra. It's activated at the root chakra. You understand about the 7 chakra system, okay? And so it is activated there. That is the first one there. And the color is red. It's activated at that space there. Why? Because that's where you are grounded. That's what connects you to Earth. Remember, I showed you the tetrahedron, okay? And the triangle going down and then the other one going up, okay? Because you gotta be grounded, So why the root chakra? Because that is one of the most powerful of the chakras, the root, because we have some of our greatest struggles are at the root chakra and those lower chakra where those desires are and things like that we have to overcome. But the root chakra in particular deals with fear, anxiety, frustration, and not knowing how to let go when you need to let go of things or people and stuff like that, right? So it deals with all of that, deals with some of those very, very low vibrational things there. And so basically the message is deal with that within you because that's where you're going to get charged. Turn your fear into confidence and faith and boldness and courage. Turn your anxiety into peace, learning to rest in Him. Turn your frustration into having a sound, healthy mind, okay, instead of being depressed and all of that, okay, because it starts there. And when you enter into a space, whether it is through meditation, because that's one way you can charge it with intent, of course, with intent we're talking about, is through meditation, okay? Another way, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute, is through prayer, okay? Okay, and what we call like speaking in our light language, speaking in tongues. That's another way. Another way, twirling, as I told you last week. Okay, that stirs it, that charges it. All of those ways are ways. Also breathing, breath work. Okay, that charges it. Now, your spirit light body, I'm going to show you another image here, is it can, this tetrahedron has 64 crowns or 64 small triangles. Okay, you see that? Okay, that's what it is. This is sacred geometry. What is sacred geometry? Sacred geometry is basically geometric shapes that have metaphysical meanings. Geometric shapes that have metaphysical meanings and may have a mathematical component also that you can use with numerology and stuff. Now, why does this MerKaBah, your MerKaBah, my MerKaBah, everybody's MerKaBah, have these 64 triangles, small triangles in it? It's very important. Your body has 64 codons. Your body has 64 codons. Codons is the medical term for codes on. Those are codes that switch your body on. You have 30 to 40,000 genes in your gene cluster, right? And so it takes these codons or codes on to turn on those genes and all of those other things. However, we do not function with 64 codes on. We only have 20 that are working. Very, very few people have had 22 codons or codes on, but there are 64, just like the tetrahedron, just like the tetrahedron. So when you activate the tetrahedron or your MerKaBah and stuff, it is like activating the codons within your body, because you begin to transcend the physical body, because you're a vehicle. You're a light vehicle. Another thing, show you that it's not only in Judaism, it is not only in science, the biology, but China. What is have you heard of the I Ching? I call it the I Ching, or the I change. I and then CHING. What is the I Ching or the I change? It is the 64 symbols, hexagons that are there. The 64, it is there. So you find it hidden in all of these cultures here, this 64. If we were to round it down, what you would get, 6 plus 4 is 10. That is a cosmic number of the divine number, the divine laws of the Most High. Just wanted to just show you this, that your light spirit body has these aspects here. And all of these codes are waiting to get turned on, okay? Now, when those 64 codes come on, you're not the same. You're not the same. You're kind of like the Adam of Genesis chapter maybe 1 verse 26, okay? Or maybe chapter 2 verse 7. Where he was able to name all the animals, and he walked and talked with the Elohim in the cool of the day, or the spirit of the day, and he didn't realize his potential and powers because he was just born, if you will, or just created, and that he was a fifth dimensional light being. So it is in this space that you become the light being that you are, because those 64 triangles activate the 64 codons, or the I Ching, the I change, that changes and metamorphosizes you into the gods that you are, the light being that you are. Okay, let me just go a little bit further here and and touch on some things. I think you got that. All right, so why should I activate my MerKaBah? All right, all people say that, but why should I activate it? Number one, it allows you to travel multidimensionally. It allows you to travel multidimensionally, not just third dimensionally, but multidimensionally. It allows you to move in consciousness, okay? Now, the activation of this, as I showed you the image, standing or lotus or however you are, okay? And when you are activating this, when you are with intent and with thought, which we're going to talk about in a minute here and stuff, this is your vehicle. This is your light vehicle. And when this becomes activated in you, we do it frequently, especially if you function in the office of a prophet or function prophetically, because you are seeing. And many times when we are seeing, we are there. We are there. You see me demonstrated on this platform here. I think maybe a couple of years ago when we had Psychic Faraday and stuff. And there was a person that was on the platform and just in front of the camera, but I saw in her house. And I told her what was there in the house, and she'd forgotten. And she, oh yes, that's yours. And she just started to move things around and stuff like that. What was that? What was that? I was able to go in consciousness in that house. There's another guy that was on a while back, and I saw the cats under his house and stuff. I just saw it, right? And just the same thing with others. You know, what happened? You moved in consciousness. You were physically where you were, but you got into your chariot in consciousness, and you were able to move, and you were able to see what was going on. We could tell you many, many stories and many of the things that we post on the website, whether it is space event, space weather, or whatever, like, you know, all of that is basically from the MerKaBah, from traveling. That's why I said that many times we do this and we're not even aware of what we're doing. But now that you understand and understand this, you can begin to do this with intent. So why should you activate your MerKaBah? You have to activate it. Now, sometimes it will become activated without you consciously, as I said earlier, doing this. It helps you so that you can travel multidimensionally in consciousness. If you are interested in out of the body experience, it is a part of the OBE. Out of the body experience, where you're literally traveling outside of your body. It is a part of the remote viewing. As we showed you last week in 2 Kings chapter 6, Elisha, he's there in his tent in Dothan, right? But he's looking into the king of Syria's tent, right? And he's telling him what's going on. He's seeing the war plans and everything, and he's hearing them, and he's coming back and telling whether he's remotely viewing it or whether he's out of the body, like Dr. Strange looking around, That is real. Okay, that is your MerKaBah. That is your light body. So you want to do this. You should want to do this. You should not want to be limited to this three-dimensional construct. But you should want to go into other dimensions. Now, if you go into the fourth dimension, you don't want to stay into the lower levels of the fourth dimension, because the lower levels of the fourth dimension is where all the demons and stuff are. Yeah, they're not in this dimension until people bring them into this dimension. There are portals that can become open through alcohol, drugs, lifestyles, and acts of violence and stuff, where bloodshed, and allow entities to come into this place. Or you get some occult technology, like what they have at CERN and stuff, and you speed the vibratory frequencies up of things, of atoms and things like that. And then you open up a wormhole, you open up something. So those things were in the lower realm of the fourth dimension, but higher up there, they're not up there. They're all in the lower part of the fourth dimension. And so you want to activate your MerKaBah so that you can travel dimensionally. You should want that. I know I do. I like that. Okay, straight. Okay, another reason. All right. Isaiah used the MerKaBah. Elijah, as I told you, that's how he escaped Ahab and Jezebel all of those years, right? As a matter of fact, he ascended in one. Elisha, Ezekiel. Matter of fact, Ezekiel, when you read the book of Ezekiel, you'll find out that he was flying all over the place. Here he is. This is one of the points I wanted to make here. He's there by the river Kibar. We're talking about activating the MerKaBah. He is a priest, a Levite priest, but he is also a prophet with no church really, except for these people that are all depressed in Babylon, these captives that are there. And he's there with these people complaining and all depressed. And he's a priest without a temple. And the scripture says that by the rivers of Chaldea or Babylon, the river Kibar, actually the river Kibar, that's where the heavens open to him. Now you have to understand the word Kibar. Kibar is the word that means long ago. Somebody shout the past, okay? And that's where the word kibar comes from. And then the kibar, it means like to put together, as if you are braiding someone's hair. Some of you sisters know what I'm talking about, where you take a piece over here and you take another piece over here and you intertwine it together. What does that mean metaphysically or esoterically? What's the message there? So here he was in this space here, and I'm sure his mind was going back to the way it used to be in his homeland before he was there in captivity and stuff. And he's thinking about, how things are now in captivity and what his future holds. But he got out of that and he got into this Kibar space where he was able to merge the past and the present and the future into one. Can you hear that? He brought his mind and his consciousness into the now. And so when he brought his mind and consciousness into the now, where the past, present, and future began to merge as one, the heavens became open. It is in that now experience, it's in that present moment where God is, not God was or will be, but God is, where you realize the God is and the isness within you, that there is only this moment that your heavens become open. And he saw visions of Yahweh, the scripture says, of the Elohim. He saw visions of God, and out of that experience of living and coming into the now, it activated this MerKaBah within him, and the throne of God came forth with all of those various animals, the seraphim, the cherubim, the orphanims and humans and everything, and that came there. And he has this experience throughout the book of Ezekiel where he says that he's in this space, and he described it like the hand of the Lord came upon me. He took me by my hair, and he took me to this place, and here he is in captivity. Then he's moving over to Jerusalem. Then he's moving over to this place and that place. Then he gets to chapter 38, I believe it is, and he's in America. In the future, he's in Iran, he's in Turkey, he's in Russia, and he calls the names of these places because he's in his light vehicle looking at it. He's gone transdimensional. He's transcended time and space 2,800 years ago, and he sees into this time and sees these leaders and the wars and things that's going to take place. And he goes on into 1,000 years ahead because he's in his vehicle. The MerKaBah became activated within him, and he saw that. All right. Now, I'm almost finished. This light travel, Yeshua demonstrated it. Matthew chapter 17, I always quote this. Peter, James, and John went up to the mountain representing ascension. You have to come to a space of ascension. You will have many, many ascensions. Some of you are having an ascension during this broadcast here now, because you're hearing things that you hadn't heard before, and your mind is opening up, and it's like you're having aha moments, and wow, and now it's connecting. So you're ascending in consciousness, and you're able to assimilate more data, more spiritual knowledge than you were, say, 1 hour ago when we started, okay? And it's making sense. So you're having an ascension in consciousness. So they ascended up into the mountain, and you find that in that place of prayer that he was transfigurated before him. So what happened? He activated his light spirit body. He activated his MerKaBah, and his whole entire being was just brilliant white. And he was accessing other dimensions and talking to Elijah and Moses at the same time. Okay, you know the story. All right. Now, thought is what allows it to happen. One of the main things that allows it to happen. Okay, because your thoughts are interdimensional. Your thoughts are not limited to the three-dimensional construct. And so if you can think outside the box, if you can think outside what religion, society, your upbringing, your own mind say that you can think, you can bring it into being. And that activates the MerKaBah to cause you to move. Okay, so thoughts can limit you into this three-dimensional world, or it can release you into the fifth-dimensional world and beyond. Your thoughts can limit you to a three-dimensional reality, and you'll be like all of these other people that's complaining because they're watching the news, watching fake news, Fox News, and CNN, and all of these, different things like that. And they're, because their eyes are upon a man, they want a person that they can look just like ancient Israel. Look at the church today. I got to get off on this, Look at aren't they just like ancient Israel? They had a prophet leading them, but they said, no, we want to be like the others. We want to have a king. We want to have this man, someone that we approve to lead us, give us a chance to vote on this and stuff. And Saul was disappointed, and he says, well, they haven't rejected you. They didn't reject the voice of God, of God through this man, but they rejected God himself. And that's the way people are today. No, give us a man, give us a woman, give us somebody. Okay, that we can look at, that we can believe in, instead of going within and believing in yourself. Believing in the God that's within you. All right. Okay, so you can choose to be limited by your thoughts. It's a three-dimensional construct, and you will never be happy. You'll be upset. You'll be angry, like many of the evangelicals and stuff. You'll be, just constantly in this turmoil or whatever, Or you can allow your thoughts to release you from the three-dimensional world, and you can live in the 5D reality, which is all around you, because your MerKaBah has brought you there. You read the scripture, Ezekiel, he's going over and over, and he brought me there, and he brought me there, and he brought me there. The vehicle, the MerKaBah, your chariot, you bringing you to this place. All right, now, in the beginning was the thought. In the beginning was the thought. Oh, but you might say, no, in the beginning was the word. But do you know what logos mean? John 1:1, in the beginning was the word was God, the word was with God, the same was in the beginning with God, right? Okay, that word logos, it means the utterance of a thought. So it's the word, but before the word came, there was a thought. So the most powerful thing in the universe is thought, okay? Thought is where we get words from, right? Okay, so the Most High, before he said, let there be, he thought it. And after he thought it, he spoke it. And after he spoke it, the actions, the manifestation came forth. The same with you and I. You think it, you speak it, and you bring it about. You create it, all right? So in the beginning was the thought. In the beginning was this thought. And so if you can just bring your mind and your thoughts into alignment, using Christian terminology, biblical terminology, into alignment with God, that vehicle, the MerKaBah, is yours, because it is there within you. It will activate that within you. Now, another point here. Okay. The MerKaBah will be activated, or will activate itself due to your shift in consciousness. Your shift in consciousness. We have to repent. That's what the word repent means. It means to change your mind, have a shift in consciousness. It's not like going down the way. You can do all of the other stuff too. Oh, please forgive me. Please do that. Apologize, ask people for forgiveness. Ask the Most High for forgiveness and realize that you are forgiven. But real repentance is a shift in consciousness. It is changing your mind, Okay, so this shift in consciousness is what creates this. You set your intent, and then you become totally activated in him, and you become that. Now I showed you about the moving in consciousness, but the ultimate goal is for total activation of your MerKaBah. What does that mean? That means you're no longer just moving in consciousness, sitting here and looking in the spirit and seeing what's in somebody else's home or what they're doing, or having visions, or hearing clairsentient, hearing things, or feeling things and stuff like that, clairaudience and clairvoyancy and all of that. But the ultimate goal is to be able to move physically, and don't limit yourself to planet Earth. There's so many places out there to visit. So many places out there. All right. Well, I'm not going to go much further with that. Let me see if I have any other points I want to make here, just to show you this toric field, how this energy works here. Okay. This is how it works, okay? This is the energy. When you come into that space and bring your thoughts into alignment, into that place of now, into that present moment and stuff, and bringing that energy, let me just say it another way just to help you to understand it, because this is really science, this is really a toric field, and this is literally what happens within your physical body and stuff when you're bringing this energy up from your root chakra. Now, you're filled with this, and this surrounds you, and it serves as your vehicle that you sit in on your throne to travel in consciousness, or to physically jump through dimensions in. Okay, are you hearing what I'm saying? This shouldn't be too much for most of you that are here. We talk like this all the time. I do. Maybe I'm just explaining it a little bit more tonight, but this is what it's about. This is what it's about. Okay, so now, my last point here. Now, I told you that is the activation starts with the root chakra. The root chakra brings it all the way up, and this to the seventh chakra. But the third eye, the pineal gland, is right here. Scripture says that Christ sits at the right hand of God. Okay, so this is your Christ consciousness, the right brain hemisphere. Okay, and God is the all-seeing eye. Kemet, they call it the Horus. This is the all-seeing eye of God right here, the pineal gland. And the right brain hemisphere is the Christ consciousness, where all of your spiritual activity and psychic abilities, spiritual abilities, prophetic abilities come from here, okay? So now in that space of meditation or breath work, you're bringing this energy up from your root chakra. Just to give you a little bit biology here, okay? There is a space between your anus and your private part. That space is called the perineum. And it is not just only a powerful pleasure center, okay, but there's a ball of nerves there that connects, and that once that energy is brought up from that place of creativity and power, this is what creates that extended auric field. This is what creates that MerKaBah experience, and where the third eye, as the chakra, everything is moving the way that it's supposed to move, at the frequency that it's supposed to move. And guess what? You do like Stephen do. He's walking, going, just obeying.